Shalom, my Hebrews and Shebrews. This is Oilfield Disciple. How about some daily bread for today? This Friday, the 19th. Let's go look at the beginning of the plagues in Egypt, Mitzrayim. Um, Look at Pharaoh's heart constantly being hardened and how that equates with you and me today. So, Exodus, where are we at? We read Exodus 4 yesterday. Be in Exodus 5 today. And I believe Luke 8, I believe, and then Psalms 53, yep, and Proverbs 19. Let's go get some daily bread. Hope this will bless you, encourage you, and even frustrate you. Go look this up for yourself. Let it inspire you to go do deeper, more in-depth studies on the Word of Yah. I'm just going to read the text, and I will give utterance as the Lord, the Holy Spirit, gives it to me. All right. So Aaron and Moses just connected yesterday. God had told Moses, go tell Pharaoh, let my people go. And here we are. And afterwards, Moshe and Aaron went in and said to Pharaoh, thus saith Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, let my people go, so that they celebrate a festival to me in the wilderness. And Pharaoh said, who is Yahweh, that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I do not know Yahweh, nor am I going to let Israel go. Kind of, it's a pretty dirty movie, but, as far as language goes, but Martin Lawrence and who's that other cat? Where they get life in jail and they're in life, and they're trying to talk to the sheriff when they first get arrested, tell them who had sent them down there to get the whiskey. And this is in 1930s in the South, and they went down from New York City to go get some whiskey, and they got caught up in a whole bunch of stuff, and they wound up getting thrown in jail. And Martin Lawrence asked the sheriff, he goes, Spanky Johnson? He goes, the sheriff says, Spanky Johnson? No, don't reckon I do. Well, that didn't help him none, throwing that name out. Well, right now, throwing Yahweh's name out there is not helping Moses and Aaron. And they said, the Elohim of the Hebrews has met with us. Please, let us go 3 days' journey to the wilderness and slaughter to Yahweh, or sacrifice to Yahweh, our Elohim, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword. But the sovereign of Mitzrayim said to them, Moshe and Aaron, why do you take the people from their work? Get back to your burdens. And Pharaoh said, see, the people of the land are many now, and you make them cease from their burdens? Oh, no, absolutely not. We ain't having that around here. See, Pharaoh's already intimidated by their numbers and by their accomplishments. And the same day, Pharaoh commanded the slave drivers of the people and their foremen, saying, you are no longer to give the people straw to make bricks, as before. Let them go and gather the straw for themselves. Make it harder on them. And lay on them the required amount of bricks which they made before, and do not diminish it, for they are idle. That is why they cry out, saying, let us go and slaughter to our Elohim. Let more work be laid on the men, so that they labor in it, and not pay attention to the words of falsehood. It's just overburden them so they ain't got time to think about freedom. And the slave drivers of the people and their foremen went out and spoke to the people, saying, thus saith Pharaoh, I do not give you straw. Go, take straw for yourselves, wherever you find it, for your work shall not be diminished. You still got to get the same amount of work done in a day, but now you got to go get the straw yourself instead of us bringing it to you. So it's a lose-lose situation here. Go take straw for yourselves wherever you find it, for your work shall not be diminished. And the people were scattered in all the land of Mitzrayim to gather stubble for the straw. And the slave drivers were hurrying them on, saying, fulfill your actions, your daily matters, as when there was straw, cracking that whip. Also the foreman of the children of Israel, whom Pharaoh Pharaoh's slave drivers had set over them were struck and were asked, "Why have you not fulfilled your law in making bricks both yesterday and today as before?" And the foreman of the children of Israel came and cried out to Pharaoh, saying, "Why do you treat your servants this way? There is no straw given to your servants. And they say to us, 'Make bricks.' And see, your servants are struck, but your own people are at fault." He said, "You are idle. You are idle. That is why you say, 'Let us go and slaughter the Yahweh.' You lazy old man, you're just plain lazy. Get out there and get this job done. So now go work, and straw is not given to you, but deliver the amount of bricks." And the foreman of the children of Israel saw that they were in trouble after it was said, "You are not to diminish your daily amount of bricks." And when they came out from Pharaoh, they met Moshe and Aaron, who stood there to meet them. And they said to them, "Let Yahweh look on you and judge, because you have made us loathsome in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants, to give sword in their hand to kill us." So now it's Yahweh's fault. Now it's Moses' fault. Let's blame everybody else. And Moshe returned to Yahweh and said, "Yahweh, why have you done evil to these people? Why did you send me? For ever since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to these people, and you have not delivered your people at all." Uh-oh. Now Moses is blaming Yahweh. We'll get that way if we ain't careful. Things ain't going exactly the way we want it to. We don't think Yahweh's fulfilling his promises. That's why I always let y'all know, and I tell y'all, look at the difference between promises and possibilities. Now, this is not the case here, but a lot of times in our own lives, we take Yahweh's possibilities as a promise. And whenever that possibility is not a promise and it doesn't come true, then we lose faith in Yahweh. Let's do let's do a little different today. Let's go look at Lucas chapter 7. Nope, Lucas chapter 8. Luke 8. It came to be after that he went through every city and village, he being Jesus, proclaiming and bringing the good news of the reign of Elohim, and the 12 were with him. And a certain woman who were healed of wicked spirits and sicknesses, Miriam, called from Magdala, Miriam of Magdala, out of whom had come 7 demons. And Johanna, the wife of Cusa, manager of Herodias, and Shoshana, and many others who provided for him from their resources. And when a large crowd had gathered, and those who were coming to him from every city, he spoke a parable. A sower went out to sow his seed, and he sowed some, indeed fell by the wayside, and it was trodden down, and the birds of heaven devoured it. And others fell on the rock, and when it grew up, it withered because it had no moisture. And others fell among the thorns, and the thorns grew up with it and choked it. And others fell on good soil, and grew up and yielded a crop 100-fold. Having said this, he cried, "He who has ears to hear, let them hear." His taught ones were asking him, saying, "What does this parable mean?" And he said, "To you it has been given to know the secrets of the reign of Elohim, but to the rest in parables, that seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not understand. And this is the parable. The seed is the word of Elohim. And those by the wayside are the ones who hear. Then the devil comes and takes away the word from their hearts, lest having believed they should be saved. And those on the rock are those who, when they hear, receive the word with joy, and these have no root, who believe for a while, and in a time of trouble fall away. That's kind of what we're talking about over there in Pharaoh, Israel, Egypt. And that which fell among the thorns are those who, when they heard, go out and are choked with worries and riches and the pleasures of this life, and bring no fruit to perfection. Prosperity Gospel. Joel Osteen, Jesse Duplantis, Creflo Dollar. That's the word in thorns. Uh-oh. And that on the good soil are those who, having heard the word with a noble and good heart, retain it, bear fruit with endurance. And no one having lit a lamp covers it with a vessel or puts it under a bed, but he puts it on a lampstand so that those coming in see the light. Oh, ain't getting hot. Verse 18, therefore take heed how you hear. For whoever possesses, to him more shall be given, and whoever does not possess, even what he thinks he possesses, shall be taken from him. That also goes with the parable of the talents. One had 5, one had 2, one had 1. One had 1, buried it, thinking he's doing a good job. You know the thing. You know the thing. And his mother and brothers came to him and were unable to get him because of the crowd. And it was reported to him, saying, your mother and your brothers are standing outside, wishing to see you. And he answered and said to them, my mother and my brothers are those who are hearing the word of Elohim and doing it. That's how we differentiate between brother and neighbor. With your brother, that's like-minded believers and followers of Yeshua. Neighbors are all the world. And on a certain day it came to be that he entered into a boat with his taught ones, and he said to them, let us go over to the other side of the lake. And they set out. And as they were sailing, he fell asleep. And a windstorm came down on the lake, and they were filling up and were in danger, filling up with water. The boat's being whooped by a hurricane. Jesus just sound asleep, getting him some rest. He don't care. And they came to him and woke him up, saying, Master, Master, we are perishing. And he awoke and rebuked the wind and the raging water, and they ceased, and there came a calm. He said to them, where's your faith? And they were afraid and marveled, saying to one another, who then is this that even he commands the winds and the water, and they obey him? They're constantly astonished at what Yeshua does for them. We today are constantly astonished when Yeshua shows up and does a good work in our life. But if he doesn't, oh, what a wicked God he is to us. Right? Shouldn't be. And they sailed to the country of the Gadarenes, which is opposite of Galilee. And as he went out into the land, he was met by a certain man from the city who had demons for a long time, and he wore no garments. And he was not living in a house, but in tombs. And when he saw Yeshua, he cried out and fell down before him with a loud voice, saying, what have I to do with you, Yeshua, Son of the Most High Elohim? I beg you, do not torture me. It's the demon speaking, not the man. For he had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man, for it had seized him many times, and he was bound with chains and shackles. Being guarded and breaking the bonds, he was driven by the demon into lonely places. And Yeshua asked him, saying, what is your name? And he said, Legion, because many demons had entered into him. And they were begging him that he would not command them to go out into the bottomless pit. And he heard of many pigs was feeding there on the mountain, and they begged him to allow them to go into them. And he allowed them. And the demons, having gone out of the man, entered to the pigs, and the herd rushed down the steep place into the lake and drowned. Imagine that sight. And when those feeding them saw what had taken place, they fled and reported it to the city. Hey man, all our pigs just committed suicide. Jesus, dude, he come in, he said some words, and all of a sudden our pigs ate crazy, and off the cliff into the lake they went and drowned it. So they came out to see what had taken place, and they came to Yeshua and found the man from whom the demons had gone out, sitting at the feet of Yeshua, dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. And those who had seen it reported to them how he had been possessed by demons and was healed. And all of the crowd of the neighborhood of the Gadarenes asked him to leave them, for they were seized with great fear, and he had entered into the boat and returned. Jesus does not sit there and argue with them. You must hear the word of God and just make a big scene and a riot. No, Jesus is like, cool, you don't want me to hear him out. That's the way we're supposed to be today. I love that we have men of God that will go to the streets and preach the gospel. And I love it that they stand on their constitutional right to do so. But according to the scriptures, when you are blatantly making a ruckus and not wanted, you're to knock the dust off your feet and move on. Not continue to sit there and bang on people that don't want to hear it. And all the crowd of the neighborhood of the Gardenese asked him to leave because they were seized with fear. Okay, Jesus planted the seed there. He can move on. That's what we're to do as pastors and teachers of the word. When we're somewhere that we're not wanted, you've planted the seed just by your presence. Now move on. If you continue to fight against the crowd, you are going to plant a bad seed. And I believe that 100%. And the man from whom the demons had gone out was begging him to be with him. But Yeshua sent him away, saying, "Go back to your house and relate what Elohim has done for you." And he went away proclaiming through all the city what Yeshua had done for him. Okay? Seeds planted. Move on. It came to be when Yeshua returned that the crowd gladly received him, for they were all looking for him. Now Jesus returns. And seeing there came a man whose name was Yair, and he was ruler of the congregation. And falling down at the feet of Yeshua, he was calling upon him to come to his house, because he had only a daughter about 12 years old, and she was dying. And as he went, the crowds thronged upon him. And a woman having a flow of blood for 12 years, who having spent all her livelihood on physicians, was unable to be healed by anyone. She came behind him and touched the tzitzit of his garment, and immediately her flow of blood stopped. And Yeshua said, "Who touched me?" And when all denied it, Kepha and those with him said, "Master, the crowds throng you and press upon you, and you say, 'Who touched me?'" But Yeshua said, "Somebody did touch me, for I know power went from me." And the woman, seeing that she was not hidden, came trembling, and falling down before him, she declared to him in the presence of all the people why she had touched him, and how she was healed immediately. And he said to her, "Take courage, daughter. Your belief has healed you. Now go in peace." While he was still speaking, someone came from the ruler of the congregation's house, saying to him, "Your daughter is dead. Do not trouble the teacher any further." And Yeshua, having heard, answered him, saying, "Do not be afraid, only believe, and she'll be healed." Coming to the house, he allowed no one to go in except for Kepha and Jacob and Johanan, and the girl's father and mother. And they were all weeping and mourning. And he said, "Do not weep. She's not dead, but she only sleeps." And they were laughing at him, knowing that she was dead. This dude don't know dead from sleep. Come here from Sikkim. What's wrong with him? Taking her by the hand, he called, saying, "Child, arise." And her spirit returned, and she rose up immediately. And he directed that she be given food to eat. And her parents were astonished, but he ordered them to say to no one what had taken place. Y'all should go study out why Jesus tells people not to go and tell what just happened. It's an interesting study. Let's go do Psalms 53. Tahelium. I'm going to move my phone for just a minute. Back over here. If I don't, it'll get too hot and it'll shut off. Tahelium 53. If I can find it. I believe it's a short little old psalm today. Yep. Psalm 53. The fool has said in his heart, "There is no Elohim." We just seen that in Pharaoh. And they have done corruptly, and they have done abominable and unrighteous, and no one does good. Elohim looked down from the heavens on the children of men to see if there was a wise one seeking Elohim, for they have all turned aside. They have together become filthy, and no one is doing good, not even one. Have the workers of wickedness no knowledge? Who eat up my people as they eat bread, and do not call on Elohim? There they are in great fear, where no fear was. For Elohim shall scatter the bones for him who encamps against you. You shall put them to shame, for Elohim has rejected them. Oh, that the deliverance of Israel would be given out of Zion. When Elohim turns back the captivity of his people, let Yaakov rejoice and let Israel be glad. There we go. We correlated right with what's going on over in Exodus with Pharaoh, Moses, Aaron, and the Hebrew people. Proverbs 19, Mishle, Mishal, or Mishle. I like Mishle. 19:1 says, better is the poor walking in his integrity than one with perverse lips, who is a fool. Also, desire without knowledge is not good, and he who hurries with his feet sins. The foolish of man perverts his way, and his heart is wroth against Yahweh. Notice those who do not follow Torah, who do not walk in the ways of Yahweh, are always angry at Yahweh for some reason. Wealth adds many friends, but the poor is separated from his friend. You got money, everybody's coming around you. They want to hang with you. You ain't got no money, they got no reason for you. That's when you find out who your true friends are. Also, when you start following Torah, you'll find out who your true friends are. A false witness does not go unpunished, and he who breathes out lies does not escape. Many entreat the favor of the noble, and all are friends to him who gives gifts. All the brothers of the poor shall hate him. How much more shall his friends go far from him? He pursues promises, they are gone. He who gets hurt loves his own life. He who guards understanding finds good. A false witness does not go unpunished, and he who breathes out lies perishes. Did we just read that already? Yep. Got to reiterate that. Got a false witness, you know, is up there on the list of being bad. Luxury is not fitting for a fool, much less for a servant to rule over a princess. A man's discretion makes him patient, and his adorning is to pass over a transgression. The king's wrath is like the roaring of a lion, but his delight is like the dew on the grass. Pharaoh's wrath is like a roaring lion, taking away the straw, making them do extra work, but requiring the same outcome each day. Same productivity. A foolish son is calamity to his father, and the contentions of a wife are a continual dripping. Houses and riches are the inheritance from fathers, but an understanding wife is from Yahweh. My understanding wife, my forgiving wife, only came from Yahweh. Laziness makes one fall to a deep sleep, and an idle being suffers hunger. He who guards the command guards his life, and he who despises his ways die. He who shows favor to the poor lends to Yahweh, and he repays his deed. Discipline your son because there is expectation, and do not set your being on his destruction. One of great wrath bears punishment, for if you rescue him, you only have to do it again. If you don't teach people how to walk correctly, you're constantly going to have to go and save them. You're constantly going to have to minister the same word to them. Listen to counsel and accept discipline, so that you are wise in the latter end. Many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the counsel of Yahweh that stands. What is desirable in a man in his loving commitment? And a poor man is better than a liar. The fear of Yahweh leads to life, and he remains satisfied. He is not visited by evil, and a lazy one buries his hand in a dish and does not bring it back to his mouth. Strike a scoffer, and the simple is made wise, and reprove one who has understanding, and he discerns knowledge. He who plunders a father chases away his mother. Is a son causing shame and bringing reproach? Cease, my son, to hear discipline, and you shall stray from the words of knowledge. A witness of Belial scalds right ruling, and the mouth of the wrong ones devour wickedness. Judgment are in store for scoffers, and beatings for the backs of fools. It's a contrast between those who have and those who have not. Those who have think they have, but yet they have not. They have not Yahweh. And those who have not want to have, and most oftentimes don't realize they have Yahweh. Does that make sense? I hope so. Anyway, thank y'all, those who follow me. John Ishii, I got your silver in the mail. I'll get you. I'll email you a confirmation number or a tracking number on that. If you confirm when you get it, receive it. Still waiting on Tribulation X to email me for his silver. Need your address, Tribulation X, if you're hearing this. If you're new, you just stumbled on this channel, subscribe, check it out. I've got hundreds of videos and archives of different teachings, and then our daily bread. We do our daily bread. So click like, subscribe. Give me the thumbs up. Give me the thumbs down if you don't like it. I'm fine with that too. Y'all be blessed, be encouraged, and always be frustrated. Go look up everything I say for yourselves. Soul Field Disciple. We'll break bread together later.